And the option that I selected to do for this week is the live video. And I'm going to be covering 4 lessons. That's lesson 1 to 16 and 19. And in the interest of time, I am just going to highlight some of the things that I found meaningful or important. And so I hope that you can learn something from this. I know that I have. So first of all, a family life educator, uh, why do we need one? And the reason is that they promote strong families. They allow for the public to know that we do have programs that exist to strengthen the families. Um, One of the things that a life educator has become known is in the Department of Labor. They have that as one of the viable professional roles that of an educator. So it is still relatively a new field, but it is growing in popularity. It is considered credible, and it's nationwide. So it is very much needed in our society today when there's so much confusion, gender confusion, so many dysfunctional families. Our job as a lifestyle educator is not to give counsel as much as a professional in the marriage and family therapy or psychologist would do, but ours is to educate. So we're going to be teaching the things that we have learned the last few years in marriage and family studies. And we do that by using the credible sources, by doing research, and then presenting this in programs and workshops as lessons, whichever the choice is to disseminate this information to those that are in need of it. One of the important things to be aware of is that we need to find out what the needs are of the participants. Once we establish what their needs are, then we can set goals and objectives and have them work towards them. We fall in the category of kind of in between a marriage and family therapist and a case worker or social worker. So what we do is try to prevent problems before they get to be dysfunctional and place families at risk. In order to be successful family life educators, we need to consider what approach we're going to use with those who we're interviewing, whether it be a one-on-one, a group, a couple. And some of the approaches can be as a facilitator, an expert. It could be an interventionalist, but the greatest one that they suggest is the most successful is the collaborator. And the reason for that is because as a life educator, I will be bringing in the knowledge that I have gained through my study, and then the research that's available from professional psychiatrists, psychologists, social providers that do research in the field of family. And so knowing which is the best to use in what situation is really important. So not only do we bring ourselves this knowledge that we have, but it's blended in with the experience that the participants have. So they kind of blend together to work together. And that's considered one of the most, not viable, but one of the most successful approaches to use. Now, there's also the eclectic approach, which means you might be using a combination of several of them, of the 8 approaches to be successful with the particular audience that you're working with. So I felt that when I was going through this, that the lesson material, that it was almost like I was a business major or an entrepreneur, which I am not. And so I felt a little bit of a disconnect and a little bit uncomfortable because I've been studying marriage and family studies, and this particular course has an unusual way of presenting. It's not so much counseling or summarizing what I have learned. It's what my feelings are, what my connections are. So this is kind of a little bit different for me. So please bear with me. So because we are preventing problems and distresses by helping to educate those who are in need of a little bit of guidance. We only handle those who need some kind of guidance in conducting their communication or the parental skills that are needed in their home. Sometimes there might be a little risk factor that shows up. Something is not quite right. It's a little red flag. So those are the things that we can deal with. Anything that gets beyond that is handled by a family therapist or a psychologist. And by the way, these are called primary prevention and secondary prevention. They handled the rest. We also need to be aware of the protective factors and the risk factors. So in seeking to minimize negative behavior, we'll fall into a protective area. We're trying to protect this family from becoming dysfunctional. So when we are able to minimize the stress, that's a protective technique, a protective method that we can use to help them. Let's see. Once we have set goals, things that the family would like to learn, we need to also be aware that, what their attitude might be about certain things, their knowledge. We can't overlook their strengths also, because those strengths that they have developed can also be strengths that they can develop in other areas that they feel that they're maybe falling short in. And caring about their values, their feelings. They may just be a little need to fine tune them or modify them a little bit. But it's important to also recognize that not all families are traditional, mother, father with, children. It could be grandparents. It could be even a gay couple adopting, children. So we need to be sensitive to that and be aware of that. So what are the skills that we're going to learn, that we're going to teach them? Well, it'll be based on the needs that they tell us that they have or that we perceive, and what they would like to be presented in this lesson that we're going to help them with. There are what they call their 8 Ps, and I'm really only going to cover briefly 4 of them. And that's, we're marketing something. What is it that we're marketing? We're marketing solid, strong families, healthy, wholesome families. And so part of that marketing comes from our enthusiasm. We need to feel passionate about this, especially being Latter-day Saints. We know that families are eternal, and that is the most success that a person can ever have in their life, is to have a successful family, strong, healthy, and solid families. So this is what we are trying to promote. So our product is basically the whole package, organizing our lessons and our educational style or technique to meet the needs of these families. They have to feel that there is a benefit to the cost, the time, or perhaps the money that they're going to spend in learning the skills has to be something that they feel is affordable within their range, and something that they can progress and learn. So it's totally worth the effort to help these families. Also, we need to find out a place that's safe, a place that is familiar to them, that they'll feel comfortable in, like a library, a church, a school. And it's suggested that these classes be held to try to set them up not more than 15 miles away from the person's home, so it makes it convenient for them to attend. And so what we're promoting then, and how are we going to promote it? We're promoting good families, strong families, because they are the future of America. When the family fails, the family is considered the nucleus of our society. If the family fails, then society fails. Failure will follow our society. So this is a really important call to be a life educator. So it's suggested that we can promote by putting blogs, contacting people, partnering up with other organizations, contacting schools, PTAs, finding donors and foundations that will promote and assist financially in this great cause. And one thing that I would like to end with is that there are many theories. We've all studied, been familiar with theories, the developmental theory, systems theory. There are several circulating out there, but what we need to recognize are some of the characteristics from these theories, and the benefits worth the cost. Um, there's one thing that I wanted to mention, and that's sometimes there's a risk of severe consequences. So let me use it as an example. Let's say a family went through a divorce, mom and dad divorced. They have children. Their adult children are at higher risk of themselves having a divorce in their marriage. Why is that? How could you help someone like that to overcome that fear or that risk? Well, it's by providing credible information that's been proven to work through scientific methods and research, that perhaps they need to be geared towards learning communication patterns, maybe things that their parents didn't express appropriately as something that they could concentrate on to help them to further a wholesome and a solid relationship between the couple. So as I mentioned, this practicum class and what I studied this week seemed to really promote a business. And I guess we're in the business of making strong families. So we're also advocates in trying what we can to reach out through the media, through technology, in whatever way that we can to make families strong. And I thank you for your attention. And I hope that you learned something from me today. And we'll see you later. Thank you.